And some of the story, it was just amazing. I mean, you can imagine a kid coming from what I would describe as a very black, grey, dark, dismal place that Derry or Belfast was. And I've just, it was like going to visit the Waltons or the Little House on the Prairie, the white picket fences, the whole thing.
So today, on today's show, I have the lovely, lovely, lovely Jane Buckley with me. And Jane and I met in the most peculiar of circumstances, really. I was not expecting to go somewhere and find a friend, but I did. And she is a complete soulmate. And I am so grateful to her for joining us today. But first of all, Jane, tell us what it is that you do before we get on.
Okay. I am actually what I would describe, I had to look it up, the difference between an author and a writer, and apparently I'm an author.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And I live in Donegal, in sunny, not Donegal, in the northwest of Ireland.
Sunny not. Oh. But it's very green, isn't it? Because there's a lot of moisture.
There's a lot of moisture. Although we've been fortunate this summer. It hasn't been a bad summer at all. So, and then people start complaining about the heat.
Oh yeah, you can't win. You can't win.
You can't. It's impossible. It's impossible.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're an author.
Yes, I am.
Esteemed company here. As you know, I do book services. I recently have sort of pivoted my business to focus more on the book services. And so you're talking my language right from the beginning by author, writer, and the difference. However, we didn't meet because we worked together. We met at the self-publishing show in London.
We did.
So you came over. Was that your first time that you'd visited?
No, the second time. I mean, it's a show that I just I absolutely adore, and you come away. I mean, your head is spinning with ideas and how the market's changed, how readers are changing, everything is changing at such a fast rate. So it's certainly worth doing.
I came on a whim because it happened to be walking distance for me, and I saw it and I thought, oh, I'll see if I can get tickets for that. There was only the first day tickets available. So I thought, I'll just do it. I'll just wander down. Didn't even get up particularly early that day because I knew that I was just going to be walking distance. And I thought, okay, well, I'll just go along, see what there is. Probably only spend half an hour there and go and do something else. So I did not expect it to be as brilliant as it was.
No.
And the way it's laid out, there are tables everywhere, and so you get to go and speak to all these industry experts, which is brilliant, but then they've got speakers all the way through as well. And as I say, we were both have happened to be standing at a stall. I was hovering, you were hovering, and speaking to the guy, and then we got talking.
We did.
And we stopped.
I mean, it really, it's a very difficult thing to do, to go to a conference like that on your own. I mean, and I think what's helped is that you and I have both got sales backgrounds. So, we're not shy, but we are shy at the same time, because it was just so lovely to sort of, I think we latched on to each other, let's be honest. And it just happened. And we just had such a giggle. And, we talked about everything, and we did meet a few funny individuals, We did. So we will say no more. We will say no more.
Watching. If you are, hello. We did, and it was hugely enlightening. And it does take a little bit of a gulp moment to turn up something like that on your own. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And more so for you, I think, because for you it was so much more of a deliberate action that flights, you had to book some. I think you stayed with family, but you had to find somewhere to stay. Whereas for me, it was like, oh well, okay, I've managed to clear my diary for that day. I think I'll go now. I'm going every year.
I know, and absolutely. And I think one of the good things is that there's on Facebook, there's some groups, of people saying, are you going next year, from different parts of the country? And they're all saying yes. So there's a dialogue starting already that people are starting to get to know, which I think is really good, so that when people do turn up, they're actually going to meet these voices face to face. So that's quite a good incentive as well. So,
That's yeah, I like that. I like that. But and that'll work particularly well, as you say, for people who are going individually,
yeah, very
and
much so.
might be a bit nervous about it.
Yeah, yeah.
So do you think we'll see you up on the stage at some point?
Oh gosh, huh? In my dreams, I suppose. I think it would be amazing. But we've got the equivalent, as I mentioned, in Ireland. The Irish publishing show, 17th to the 19th of March next year, and I think that's a sort of. It's almost like a mirror image of what they've been trying to do in London, but it's still early days. But they've got some amazing speakers, and I'm definitely going to go to that because it's an excuse as well because it's St. Paddy's Day here, and as we know, we all like to celebrate St. Patrick's Day. So it'll be a really good experience too. So one day perhaps.
Well, I've never been in Ireland on St. Patrick's Day, but I understand it's one of those things that should be on my bucket list. So
Oh, it is. I mean, it is. It's all about celebration.
yeah, that's lovely. I love that. It's a really nice atmosphere, is it?
Yeah.
Rather than, like sometimes when you get a lot of people and a lot of people drinking and partying and
Yeah.
you're a bit worried things
No,
might
it's all about the people. It's all about the music. It's all about the Guinness. But I mean, most people, if you look at the Irish all over the world, I mean, they turn the river in Chicago green, and the Eiffel Tower is green. I mean, we're just all over the place, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm just glad you were that day because this worked out brilliantly.
It is.
So I am definitely going to pull out all the stops to try and do that. I really want to come. So for the people listening, the people watching, it's March 17th, obviously,
Yeah.
St. Patrick's Day. And where is it? It's the Irish Publishing Show.
The Irish Publishing Show. I can't even remember. There's so many things going on. It's in Galway, somewhere like that. But I mean, if they just Google Irish Publishing Show 2026, it'll come up.
Excellent. Okay. So that is another one that maybe
Another one, yeah.
Oh, who knows? But before all of that, before any of this, tell me about Jane the author.
Oh, Jane the author. Jane the author's always been a reader. I mean, I was born in 66, and obviously I grew up during the Troubles in the north of Ireland here. And I suppose reading for me there was an element of escapism. And I left Derry when I was 17. I went to London. I literally got on a bus. Walked around the streets, got a job in a hotel. Over time, I married, divorced, had a kid. Well, then I married again, and I worked, and I did. I'll put my hand on heart and say I worked very, very hard, and I ended up running the national sales team for the Bank of Ireland for merchant acquisition and with American Express as well. I mean, such a diverse career. It's surreal, really. And then my husband retired, and we lived in Nice in France for between London and France. Sounds very grand, for about 10 years. But I always knew I would come back home. And one of the things was, I'm a great believer in taking risks. I love change. And through my traveling with the American Express and the bank, people would ask me questions about the Troubles, what it was all about, because I think everyone has their own perception or idea of why they started when they could have actually been avoided. It was all about, through the civil rights, if people had been listened to, it may not have ever happened. I'm not saying it wouldn't have, but it could have been better. So, you'd hear yourself saying the same story and trying to explain it. And I had this wonderful, wacky idea one New Year's Day. I woke up and I said to my husband, right, I'm going to write a book. And you can imagine what the response was, and I've told this story many times, but he just looked at me and said, yeah, right, okay, whatever. And I mean, yeah. And he's been amazing, really. He really has. I mean, he hasn't divorced me yet, but and I had no idea about structure. I had no idea about style. I just wrote from the heart. And I think that's one thing I've tried to encourage. I mean, I was 55 when I first started, that's about 4 years ago. And I don't believe you're ever too old to start anything. I just think if you can do it, if you've got the time to do it, just give it a shot. You've got nothing to lose. So I did this spurge of what I thought was a story. And again, I have always, traveling and commuting in London, before iPhones, if you finished your book or you left your book on the train, you'd had an hour and a half commute, your heart was in your throat and you were thinking, what am I going to do now? I have no book. So I was reading all the time. So I had these ideas. And to cut a long story short, I wrote the first book, which was Turmoil, this is the cover for the first book. And I was so green. I mean, no idea how to do this, but I knew I had to do it. I just had to get it out of my system. So I did what a lot of authors do. I sent out, so many query letters. It was surreal. And then there was one email came back from a guy called Darley Anderson, an agent in London, because there's very few agents in Ireland. Primarily, they're based in the UK or in London. And he said, never will have anything to do with the Troubles. Oh. So there's been a couple of books written. I mean, you would have had Anna Burns' Milkman book. I think it was a Booker Prize winner a few years ago. And there's been other books written about the Troubles, but primarily it's all about, it's journalists writing about their experiences, or it's historical fact. Mm-hmm. And what I wanted to do originally, and this is the interesting thing, the original idea was to write fiction so that the next, the younger generations, those growing up in the north here in Northern Ireland, could sort of understand the background as to what their parents and their grandparents had experienced and what it was like. But as I started to write, I realized I'm not going to get all this in one book. So one book turned into 2 books, turned into 3 books, turned into 4 books. So it's a series, I know.
And they're not small books.
And they're not small books. They're, most novels are around 80 to 90,000 words. These are 135,000 words per book. So the first 2 books were written in a year. The second book took me about a year, and the third book took me, the 4th year. But what I'm actually doing, and again, this is a learning process on all around independent, because I prefer independent publishing to self-publishing. I think now people are beginning to recognize they're 2 very different things. I think self-publishing is primarily somebody who wants to write their memoirs for their mums or dads or grannies or grandads, to give as gifts. Whereas I think indie publishing now, because it is so difficult to get, doesn't matter what the genre is. I think I looked it up. It's it's like half a basis point, a 0.5% chance of getting your book traditionally published in the UK.
That's
and
heartbreaking, really.
Not getting any younger in years. I thought, I haven't got the time. Not only is the subject matter not popular, because we all know romance. Everyone is looking for escapism at the moment. My books are not escapism.
No,
they're hard-hitting, tough books to read. I mean, I had a review last night on Goodreads, and he gave me 3 stars. He gave me 5 stars for the first book. He gave me 3 stars for the second book, and that was primarily because it's darkness. It's a raw, hard-hitting book about the women in Armagh prison, and it's not an easy read, so it's not for everybody. So so really I ended up doing 4. So I finished the 4 books, and I'm revising them and relaunching them hopefully at the end of the year. And I've never worked as hard in my life.
Yeah, and that's interesting, isn't it? Because I think people think, you have this vision of a writer, and I mean, I often think about Misery, about that, where James Caan is there writing, and it just seems such a lovely, I mean, apart from the fact that's a horror film, but it seems such a lovely way of life. You imagine somebody sort of, they've got a little glass of something, and got a cigar for when you finish, and they're just tapping away, and I've had enough for today. I think I'll go and watch a bit of telly, or go down the pub, or do whatever, go to the park if you're more wholesome.
Yeah.
But it's not that.
It's mentally exhausting. It truly is. And but the work is in the detail. I mean, I was looking at I think it was Darkness. I was looking, as I say, I'm revising Darkness. And I looked at it yesterday, and I used the word just about 700 times in the book. And the book is 135,000 words. But that's too many times, because a lot of it, and I love writing dialogue. And I love the characters talking, and I'm not really into prose. I mean, you're not going to find ribbons and bows in my writing. The sun's yellow, basically. It's not like it's shining through and there's filtering and all this. It's very, less is more, I think, for me.
Well, you've already got 135,000 words. If you start putting all that fancy.
Well, no, it'll be it'll be like the old encyclopedias, the old, the series that we used to always to have at home. Yeah. So, things like that, it's repetition. It's, no matter what, you're always going to. In fact, I was talking to a guy, a reporter the other day, who's doing a book festival with me in Letterkenny, Roy Greenslade. And he worked for for the Sun and the Daily Mirror. And he was an editor. And I said, do you ever stop editing? And he said, no. So you have to stop at some stage. And that's really difficult. That may cause the divorce if I don't stop.
I can imagine. What will happen when you do actually stop? What will happen then? I mean, I know obviously there's marketing.
Yeah. I mean, you can market these forever. I mean, I guess these books are timeless. And I think as time's going by, people are beginning to open up to talking about the Troubles. I mean, for example, the Irish Writing Centre in Dublin, they're actually running a course now, would you believe, on how to write about the Troubles. And I'm like, I'm going, I've been doing this for 4 years and no one's been listening to me.
You have to go there as a guest.
So it is evolving. So miracles do happen in a sense that part of the storyline was about a charity in New York called Project Children. So during the Troubles, when I was growing up, a number of friends of mine all around the city, Derry, Belfast, whatever, they were all going to America for 6 weeks. They were all being chosen to go to America for a 6-week holiday, and I was never chosen, and I was devastated. Right? So I wrote the story, and what it was it was two New York policemen, brothers from Rockchapel and Cork. They were watching the news, and they could see the kids. And, they just decided they would try to do something about it. So they ended up bringing 6 kids over to a place called Greenwood Lake in North New York for a 6-week holiday. And that evolved over 30 years, 40 years. They ended up bringing over 23,000 kids.
What?
I mean,
but not you.
But not me. But 16,000 host families all over the sort of East Coast and whatever of America. And some of the story, it was just amazing. I mean, you can imagine a kid coming from what I would describe as a very black, grey, dark, dismal place that Derry or Belfast was. And I've just, it was like going to visit the Waltons or the Little House on the Prairie, the white picket fences, the whole thing. But most importantly, where they had Catholic kids with Protestant kids. So they had the chance to actually mix. Whereas being here, it was totally segregated. I mean, the schools here are still segregated. There's still issues here about it. So cut a long story short, I know I'm rambling. But I contacted them and said, I've used the storyline in the books, met Dennis's daughter. We got on, Maureen. Her and I, thank God, got on great. I was invited to go over to Greenwood Lake, and now I've been asked to write the book.
Wow.
So, which is brilliant. So that'll be launched in August 2026 in Greenwood Lake.
Wow. So that's pressure for you.
Oh, you know what? It's going to be a joy to write. But I'm up at 2:00 in the morning and I've got all these ideas in my head. So once I get these other ones finished, then I will go forth and conquer.
Amazing. So a proper commission.
Yes, indeed. And I've had thank you, Northern Ireland Arts. They've sponsored, or they've given me a grant towards it, as has the Monaghan County Council, which is great as well for the production of the book. So yeah. I mean, it's all happening, but it's been
amazing
hard work.
So for sponsorship, for that kind of thing, is that something that just happened organically, or is that something that you have to put yourself out there, and it's not an easy process. I mean, everybody knows I hate form filling. I absolutely hate form filling, but you've got to, if you're not in it, you can't win it. So but it's something maybe you probably should
focus a day or two a month and just look, because there are lots of opportunities out there for funding, sort of, for all sorts of reasons. So not as much as there used to be, no doubt about it. The arts have been, as we all know, have been cut back tremendously, but it's still there. But it's everyone's fighting over the pot, but you have to try.
Absolutely. And there's local and national.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And certainly look at both. Don't just look at the national stuff and think, there's nothing for me. But look at the more sort of local stuff, because there may be something there. Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely. I have a friend in Belfast, and there's definitely more available, it seems, there than there would be for me here, for example. But look, what if you a little bit of research, a bit of time, and it can pay dividends. And also it gives you that accountability as well, doesn't it?
No, totally. And I think, I know that a lot of people are against AI, okay? But I have to say, as a lone author, ChatGPT has been incredibly useful for me. So, for example, if you did want to find out quickly, what is available around your area, you literally feed it in there and say, right, I am an author, I'm looking for funding. It can give you all sorts of feedback. And, as I said before, I love change. It is happening. It is being taken advantage of. There's no doubt about it. But if you work smart, it can be a great support, a great, if you're on your own and you need things, I think it's a very valuable tool, but it is, part of me thinks it's quite dangerous, if that's the right word. But then there's a part of me says if you're smart when you're using it, it can save you time. And that's, I guess that's the thing that's important to me.
Save you time, and also it can do a few out of the box things.
Yes.
Come up with things that you would think I never would have thought of looking at.
Yeah, exactly.
But you do have to be discerning.
No, you do.
Can't just copy and paste the whole thing and hope for the best.
No, and you know what? Why would you write? Why would you do that if you're writing? I mean, if you're writing, you've got your own voice, and people can tell if it's not your voice.
Absolutely.
But it's something to be wary of at the same time. Very much so. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. There is the fear that everybody suddenly becomes an author, and everybody suddenly can just put their name on something that they've created through ChatGPT, and that there is a lot, and this is something that we saw one of the speakers talking about at the self-publishing show, wasn't it? About how there's a lot of books in a certain genre that are just suddenly the market is absolutely full of them.
Amazon especially, yeah.
But when you're reading them, there's just like, it's like a generic colouring book inside.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same storyline. Yeah,
exactly.
They're all Cinderellas, it's all, but each to their own. If you're an avid reader, you will know if something's being produced, through AI. So it is what it is. But I think you either embrace it, and I have embraced it in terms of cutting, tasks that I haven't got the time to do, and it is all about working smart. Because I've only, and it's recognizing, we've talked about this before, your own skill base. There's things that I'm just not good at, and I can take that. I have no problem, because if I try it and I'm useless, then I'll walk away and give it to someone else. And again, that's something as an independent publisher, or writer, I'm never going to design, book covers to the same capability that a designer will do. And I don't think AI will ever do that, and I wouldn't want, I do support a lot of, I've got my little circle of friends that do the stuff for me, because I trust them and I know that they're much better at it than me.
Yeah, definitely.
Like you. Like you.
But also, within like what has become Joe Wildsmith Publishing, JWP, we have a covers guy, because he's a proper graphic designer with years of experience, and he is the nicest person that actually consults with the author and really so that book cover feels like it's you, and it's an extension of you. It's not it hasn't just scanned the book and said,
Yeah.
"All right, okay, you're talking about the Troubles. Let's stick a picture
Yeah.
of that on and what
Yeah.
have you." It's not that. It's every element on that cover means something. Everything.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, Joe. That was one of, I mean, I designed. God love me. I designed the first cover for the books, and people say they like it, but it's a shirt with a green, white, and orange, and it doesn't tell the story. And I think that's one of the biggest lessons I've learned. Your cover is it's your shop window. I mean, it truly is. And I know for a fact that, if I go into a bookshop and I love the cover and the cover doesn't appeal to me, I'll put the book back down. And they say that you've got up to about 5 seconds. You've got someone's attention for 5 seconds before, that's when they decide to buy that book. And then again, if you look at that, I don't know if you can see, you've got the helicopter. That's an original photograph that I got from the Kane Archives here at Ulster University, taken in 1972, because the first chapter is all about, helicopter hovering over so the message is in the cover. So I cannot emphasize enough to any authors out there, get your cover done properly.
Yeah,
The book
absolutely.
might be rubbish. Get the cover done properly.
You wanted to fit. It's so important that the way the helicopter's positioned on there is definitely an action shot. It's the whole color scheme and everything.
Yeah,
makes
no, it's worked out well, but
and but you might get somebody else that would just like reduce that so that the whole helicopter's in the picture and it's in the middle and it looks like Budgie or something like that.
That's why, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
it's got to portray that movement, that feeling, the feeling that those helicopters going overhead evoke.
Yeah.
So 100%, absolutely. Absolutely. There are things that you can do yourself. There are things that it's better to go to somebody else to do. One thing that you have put me in touch with a lovely lady, Emma,
Oh, yes.
a proofreader.
Right.
And I was looking for a proofreader to have as part of the team at JWP. And you put me in touch with her, and I am so grateful. Thank you very much.
I don't even. I mean, I know Emma's mum because she was one of the ladies, Monica, who read all my books, and she's, dare I say this, but she feels like she's my number one fan, and she just reached out to me because Emma has put all the effort and the investment in a professional proofreader, and that was it. And I've passed her on to a few other people, and I think that's one of the things I get joy out of. People, I wish there was someone around not being big-headed like me, like 4 years ago when I first started. Funny enough, my husband, I was on a call the other day for a lady who wants to write a memoir. I have no problem sharing, sharing the awful things that have happened and yet the great things that have happened, the lessons I've learned, because I wouldn't want anyone else to go through the pain at times. So I have no problem with them sharing. So I'm delighted that's working out well.
Yeah, no, she's adorable. And also, one of the reasons that I clicked onto her straight away when you told me about her was because she has put the effort in. She has taken the time to get the qualifications, to get the training. And that, for me and for our authors, I want that reassurance that she's not just like woken up one morning and said, I think I'll do proofreading.
Yeah.
It's that putting that effort in and having that box ticked is important. So I am really
and again, for independent authors, I think if you're going to do it, just do it right, because I'll be frank, there's a lot of people that don't. And more so in Ireland, in the UK, there is still that awful stigma about being an indie writer or author, and in America it's embraced. It's absolutely embraced. Bookshops don't think twice about taking your books in because they support the whole publishing, or just the readers, whatever. But still over here, it's still in some instances,
because often things that start off in America filter to us eventually.
Yes.
So hopefully that will get more and more
Yeah, it is. I can see a change just in the last few years. I can really see a change,
Good.
but I mean, Amazon, anyone can put anything on Amazon, and I'm not a great advocate for Amazon, as you know, but I'm on there because, quite frankly, it's all about distribution, and that's something I'll be working on where I will be.
Visibility as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So the way you sell your books, you do have them on Amazon, but also you have them on your website.
I do.
So your main focus is driving people to your own website.
Ideally, absolutely. And what I have to do is when I can find the time is something like Book Bundle. They'll be sort of doing the back office distribution, but the shop front will be my website. And then they'll order the book, and then it'll obviously go to them, and they'll distribute the book. Because at the moment, I'm on my hands and knees wrapping up books and sending them out. And, and again, it's something people don't consider, not that they should. It's not just the writing and producing this book that really is your baby, but you've got to think about the costs of printing, or of posting. And that's gone through the ceiling, and especially for big books,
Yeah.
it can cost something like, for my 4 books, it can cost up to £7 to post it, and people are paying 40 quid, you're around £50. But and I think, I don't know if I've ever said this, in fact, you've probably heard this before. When you think about buying a book at £12.99, you could go in and buy a coffee now, a cup of tea, a coffee, and a cake for £12.99. Whereas if you pay £12.99 for a book, you'll get 9, 10, 11 hours of reading. I mean, that's value for money.
It really
It
is.
is, when you put it into perspective.
I'll tell you a story that says a lot more about me than it does for anybody else. Yesterday, right? So I went shopping and I saw a wine bar that I haven't been to before, and I thought, do you know what? I've been a good girl. I've done a lot. I'm going to go and sit in this wine bar and just have a glass of wine and just sit and chill and look through my phone and catch up with myself a bit. So I did. And it was one of these ones, Vagabond. It was one of these ones where I had no idea. I just walked in and I wanted the loo as well. So I thought, kill 2 birds with one stone. So I walked in and said, can I use your loo first of all? And then I'll buy a glass of wine. So yeah, fine. Showed me where the loo was. Came out and I went, oh, I'll just go to the table. Oh no, it doesn't work like that here. I'm like, what? It's a wine bar. What do you think? But apparently you put your credit card in, or your debit card or whatever, and select the site. There's loads of bottles of wine with all these all wired up to these dispensers, and you pick the one you want and it distributes it the size you want. Well, the point, which I am getting to eventually, we are such writers, such storytellers. But the point is, it was £12.80.
Yeah. And you have to go and pick the wine up yourself and do everything yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
I actually had to wash my own glass.
Wow. But this is my point. I mean, it's just, I mean, I hate it when you go to a table and you have to scan in the barcode, and then and then they ask you for service if you want to leave a tip.
Why? What did you do?
Well, I know, and I'm normally very good at. I definitely reward good service, but I'm not giving it anyway. That's a different story. We could go on about that forever. There's so many things.
Couldn't we? So at the end, I drank my wine, which didn't take long because of large glass. And on the way out, I took my glass to the bar, and I had to laugh at myself. I thought, my God, I've actually turned the bottle. I did.
It's like going to the school canteen, taking your dishes back.
I know, but it was just like it was just like the automatic thing to do because the bar was on the way out, and I thought, God, really, I have done everything here.
I know, and all for £13. I mean, probably the wine was probably about that much. It wasn't even a decent thing, and they'll put in a big glass as well. And let's not talk about wine.
And the other thing is that I have got used to having ice in wine, but because it was quite a sort of like with all these beautiful bottles of wine and things like that, I thought, I can't really go and ask for wine, but ice in my wine. So I sat there and didn't enjoy it in the way I would normally. So I was still worried about what they think.
Well, it does show you. So £12.99 for a book versus a glass of wine that you have to go and pour yourself.
Yeah,
a glass and leave it back. I know. It's worth it.
Which is the best value for money? Absolutely. Absolutely.
I do get a little bit cross. Sorry, I do get a little bit frustrated too. And again, it's something that, the publishing show highlighted, when people put the books up for 99 cents, or 99p. I mean, to actually get the book printed costs me about £7. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you sell it for 12.99. And then if you take it into a bookshop, they'll take up to 45% of the margin anyway off you. So, per book, don't
I,
write
I
if you
do.
want to make a lot of money.
I do get it for ebooks. I totally do, especially on launch. It makes perfect sense because you don't have those production costs. Obviously, you still put all the effort in writing and everything, but I do get it, especially as for a short-term bit,
Yeah.
first of all, to get that initial push.
Yeah.
But
I agree. That's part of the marketing strategy. Yeah.
yeah, I do recommend to authors that they put it up afterwards because otherwise you can't legitimately say, oh, it's only 99p or 99 cents for a short time. If you're going to then leave it at that, it's like false marketing, isn't it?
No, it is. And, and it devalues. So, I mean, if you think about it, it's either going into the pound shop and buying something at a pound, or you're buying, your price tells a story of quality as well.
It
So,
does.
for example, with the 4 books, I've got a load of the copies left of the first, with the old cover. I've been sort of handing them out and just saying, compliments, to libraries and things, because again, it's part of the marketing strategy. Get them hooked on the first book, and hopefully they'll buy the second, third, and fourth. So the more books you write, the better as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Jane, we could talk for hours and
I know.
we've already done nearly an hour. So I'm going to have to say goodbye.
Well, thank
But
you so much.
I do have all your links that I'm going to make sure go in the show notes so
Okay.
people can get in touch, can check out your books. I am so grateful that we met. I
Oh, me
absolutely
too.
love talking to you. And I'm going to, as I say, do everything I can to get over there for March 17th. But
Brilliant.
anyway, I'll see you near Christmas anyway.
Okay, definitely. Thanks, Joe. Cheers.
So much. It's been really lovely. And I'll speak to you soon.
Okay. Bye.